This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, presented by the Only One Media Group. This is the people's choice for quality interviews, celebrities, and special guests. Hosted by Demetrius Reynolds. Call in to join the mix at 701-801-9813. For the complete archive of episodes, visit onlyonemediagroup.com and be sure to like us on Facebook at Vigilantes Radio. We welcome all. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Demetrius Whodini Blak Reynolds. Enjoy the show.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the show. You are listening to VRL, that is Vigilantes Radio Live, right here on iHeart Radio. And I am your host, Dini. I have to say that this particular episode is pre-recorded, and I can't wait to deliver it to your inboxes. And for you guys who subscribe to the show, you'll be the first to know, and I always appreciate that. All right, before we invite our special guest on, I just want to say, don't lose sight. This is the frequency of the fearless. You know, sometimes life pulls a person away from the very thing they thought defined them. The lights fade, the crowds disappear, the stage grows quiet. And for a while, it can feel like the story ended. But what if the silence isn't punishment? What if it was preparation? Because there is a difference between chasing a dream and being called into purpose. One is built around applause. The other is built around transformation. Tonight's guest knows both worlds. The raw energy of rock stages, the ambition, the grind, the hunger to make. But somewhere along the way, the mission changed. Not the voice, not the fire, the reason behind it. This conversation is about redemption. It's about identity, about what happens when someone stops performing for acceptance and starts living from conviction. Because sometimes God doesn't erase your past. He repurposes it. That's right. Made brand new. And sometimes the comeback isn't really a comeback at all. It's a commissioning. You're not just here for a talk show, and this isn't just radio. This is revival for your mind, body, and spirit. This is Vigilantes Radio Live. My name is Coach Dini, and change is possible. Are you ready?
You're listening to the Vigilantes podcast on iHeart Radio. I'm Mo, founder and owner of Noah Guy Heating and Air Conditioning. We're giving away 12 free HVAC systems this year. And if you or someone you know needs one, apply now at knowaguyhvac.com. To grow this mission, we're also seeking sponsors and donations. So let's change lives one system at a time. This is Vigilantes Podcast on iHeartRadio.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Well, let's go.
The day I called your name, everything changed. Chains hit the ground, but the fight came around. The voices tell me walk away, but your truth is louder every day. When the night says I'm not enough, your mercy reminds me who I was. I may stumble, I something's different. Deep inside, your spirit rises up and pushes back the night.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. You're listening to VRL, that is Vigilantes Radio, live right here on iHeartRadio. My name is Whodini, of course, and you just got finished listening to our special guest for tonight, Jorge Canan. That was a song called You Want It All. Today's episode is sponsored by HVAC.com. Make sure you visit the website, register so that you could win a free HVAC unit. I heard this summer's about to get hot, so may want to jump ahead of that while we have this cool weather coming through. At least that's how it is in my neighborhood. Tornado season. Anyhow, our interviews are designed to go behind the music, the news, books, art, acting, films, technology, education, entrepreneurship, entertainment, spirituality, and sometimes even past that thing that we call the ego. Our interviews are designed to go behind the scenes and into the minds of these brilliant people. You know, the ones who are out there giving it their all for me, for you, and for the world. Well, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's special guest, Jorge Canan, is a seasoned rock vocalist whose powerful voice was forged through years of live performance alongside legendary acts like Poison, Skid Row, Zebra, and Extreme. After stepping away from music for years, his life was transformed through faith, shifting his music from ambition to purpose. Now emerging as a Christian rock artist, Jorge's music carries messages of repentance, endurance, freedom, and redemption. With this upcoming album, Rise Above It All, he returns with clarity, with conviction, and calling. So please join me in saying welcome, friend, to Jorge Canan. Hey, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Denny. I appreciate you having me on the show. You mentioned the word brilliant. I don't know if I fall under that category, but I'll accept it.
Okay. Well, yeah, man. I think you fit very well.
Sure.
You know.
That sounds great.
Yeah, man. You know, any person that can write or produce or perform or sing well, rap well, do anything in music very well. I think they're on the brilliant side. I may be biased, because I'm a musician as well, but I think we fall into very special category.
Definitely a special category for sure.
Yeah. All right, George, again, welcome to the show. Before we kick things off and jump into your story, your music, your life, everything that you have going on, what's been on your heart and mind lately?
Well, really, it's really kind of getting the message out. You know, when I put this together last year, it was kind of a hard and easy decision at the same time to kind of come back to music, right? Because I never thought I'd come back to, you know. So I think now that I'm in it fully, I'm pretty excited about the next steps, right? And you know, July 10th is gonna define that when the new album comes out. Spent quite a bit of work, quite a bit of time, you know, sweat and tears, putting that together, late nights putting that together. So totally looking forward to making that happen, you know. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, it sounds exciting, and you know, a lot of work and a wild ride, you know. So
for sure.
Sir, we'll applaud you for going on this journey. So you've said that this isn't a comeback. It's more of a commissioning, more of a continuation. What does that mean to you? Yeah,
I mean, that's a good question. For me, a comeback is really about like reclaiming something for yourself, right? And a commissioning, right, is about being sent from something, you know, bigger than me or you or anyone, right? So when I was younger in music was a passion and an ambition for me, right? But now really it's become like a purpose, and it feels right, you know. I feel like I've been called back into this space to kind of deliver a message and not just to perform, even though obviously that's going to be part of it. But that kind of shifted everything for me, you know, and that's the reason why I'm here. For sure.
So how did your passion for music start?
Oh gosh, it's, you know, back in the day, you know, like any other musician, you know, you start singing or you start playing an instrument, rapping, whatever, like you were mentioning, whatever it is that, you know, everybody loves music. Music kind of takes us away from reality, you know. And that's what it was for me, you know, going out with your friends and playing in clubs and just having that camaraderie, you know, with everyone that's involved, you know. So I don't know that I had a mission or a drive. It was more of, hey, let's do this for fun. Let's join the group. Let's figure it out, you know, whether you're chasing girls at that time when you're, you know, in your teens. I think I started singing when I was about 14 or 15. And it just kind of just kept going from there. So at that age, you don't really have an ambition of where you're headed. You know, you're doing it more for fun and just kind of, you know, finding a direction and finding a place, you know, where you're comfortable.
Yeah, man. George, as you're speaking and describing, you know, these past moments, because that's what it is for me. I'm just remembering all those happy days, man, those happy times, chasing girls, hair long, chiseled jaw. Yeah, those days. The good.
Right.
No, I mean, the days are great now, you know, but the days where you can associate a moment with music. But then, George, you mentioned also in that same sentence, discovering a purpose. So, if you don't mind, what was that like?
So for me, there's a longer story behind that, and I think we can get into it a little bit later on, I think. Okay. But the purpose for me really, as I found Christ myself, was really not to just make things about me or even the music, right? The message in the songs, I want them to touch other people. There are people in this world that are going through things that are unimaginable, right? And we all go through bad times and bad moments, right? So I think some of the lyrics and songs that I put together can really kind of fit in its own place. You know, it can touch, you know, each individual person out there differently. And I think that's the purpose for me being here today and having Jorge Canan and putting this album together that hopefully I too can minister someone through membership and fellowship and also, you know, doing lives. You know, I'm pretty attainable if somebody wanted to contact me or get in touch with me, and however we're going to do this moving forward, because we're learning as we go here with new technology and everything else that's happening. So with YouTube and Facebook Lives and all this other stuff, I want to use that as a tool to help others. That's kind of like where I'm at there. That's my purpose. You know.
All right, I love it. I love it. And yeah, man, you're absolutely right. There are new rules to this industry that we call the music business, even for the indie artists, right? They have rewritten the rules once again and made it very accessible, which creates a crowded market, but it also, especially during the time of COVID, the burst of creativity that came from a lot of people who, you know, thought they stopped, you know, until we had this break. So speaking of that, you stepped away from music. I don't know if it was during the COVID years or this was early on, but you stepped away.
Yeah.
What brought you back, and why in 2026? Why now, in this point in time?
Yeah, so I stepped away long before COVID, believe it or not.
Okay.
And yeah, so, you know, as anything else, right, life happens, right? Priorities changed. Honestly, music wasn't where I was supposed to be at that time. And but over the years, I know that, you know, God started working on my heart, and the desire kind of came back differently, you know, to get back into music. It wasn't about chasing a career anymore, or chasing a dream, or chasing money, or you know, whatever it is that folks chase. You know, everybody has a different way of looking at things. It was really about obedience for me, and it is today. And now it just feels right. It feels like it's the right time for me to be out because of where I am from a maturity level, and also in music. I've really, just the past year alone, I've spent so much time writing lyrics and putting music down and throwing ideas out and putting new ideas in. When you think you have a good hook, you wake up and say, you're like, heck no, that's not good. You know, so I've been through ups and downs this past year, and it's brought me back. And again, that, you know, I'm just not the same person I was back then, and I think that's what's really drawn me, even having a stronger will to come back into music, you know, with what I'm pursuing now.
Yeah,
which is Christ.
Yes, sir. Putting those 10,000 hours in, you know, even with the scratch records or the scratch lyrics. Hey, you know, and it sounds like your relationship with music changed, you know, from your earlier rock days to today. How so? It's
changed, yeah. My relationship, with music is so much different from those days. Back then, music was, you know, kind of like an identity. It's like, oh wow, I'm a rock singer, I'm in a band, I'm in this band or that band. And now it's really become like a vehicle, you know, I use to like communicate truth and connect with people. And that's what I want to do. I want to connect with people on a deeper level. I still love the energy and the power of rock, and, you know, and the music, it still portrays that. And I know once we get a live experience, we're going to make sure it rocks. It's going to be powerful. But now I think it carries a completely different meaning, you know. Now it's no longer about being seen, you know, as it is more about what's being said, you know, and how I want to say it, you know. So I think that's the relationship, I think, with music today versus what I did prior, for sure.
Yeah, man, you know, not prioritizing being seen, I think, is a look into how your heart is postured.
Yes.
You know, the posture of your heart. You know.
It's a change that doesn't happen overnight, you know, but when it does happen, you know it, you know. So here we are, right?
Yeah. And I don't know, man. I went through a transformation, and sometimes I feel like I have to pinch myself, or kick myself. Like, man, why didn't I do this sooner? When I was younger.
Right.
But
I feel the same way.
Yeah,
I feel the same way. Why did I do this sooner?
Yeah, but we know, man. That's the enemy trying to kick up condemnation. But you talk about moving from ambition to calling. What did that shift look like in your life?
Yeah, wow. Yeah, you know what? It's humbling. I believe ambition is really about control and what you want to achieve, right? To me, that's ambition. And a calling, to me, requires one to surrender. I had to let go of my own plans in life, right? And really kind of listen to where God was leading me, hence here we are today, right? So that shift didn't really happen, as I mentioned before. It didn't really happen overnight. But once it clicked, as we just talked about, you know it when you know it, right? Once it clicked, I knew it, and I couldn't go back, and I can't go back doing the old things or being the old George, so to speak, right? It's an experience that when everyone or anyone goes through, you just know when the Holy Spirit sits in you, and when it's talking to you and letting you know that you need to talk to others, and that's the difference to me between the ambition and the calling, so.
Yeah, but you make it sound easy, George.
No, it's not easy. It's not easy. That's definitely, I'm not trying to make it sound easy, because it's not. As a matter of fact, when you do cross over and you do, look to the Lord, and you follow a certain way of being, it changes you. Emotionally, it changes you eternally, internally, and eternally, but it really does change you, and when that happens. So, and when that does happen, there's a lot more spiritual warfare that goes on, and temptation and different things, that you have to avoid, that you didn't used to even think about, so it's not, people think, oh great, you found Christ and this is great now, you just seem like a happier person, you just seem like a different person. But you're fighting every day, you're fighting every day, so that's what I, at least for me, whether you have bad thoughts some days, or whether you say something you didn't want to say, or whether you could have done something differently, you kind of question yourself, your conscience is always there, so I think that's it for me, for sure.
Absolutely, man, absolutely. And it sounds like your faith is definitely, or has reshaped your identity, not only as a person, but as an artist. And man, tell us about that.
Yeah, no, that's completely true. My identity isn't rooted in music anymore, even though obviously I'm doing music, but it's kind of, through music, it's rooted in Christ, I'm not chasing approvals or validation from anyone. I really don't care, I care about people, but I don't care what people think and judge of me, whatever direction I go or whatever I do. I hold my friends and family close to my heart, and as far as the music and being an artist, I can now create music from a place of truth instead of really a place of pressure, or whatever other things come into mind when you're not, in a place where I'm at today. Because I do remember there was a lot of pressure back, where you have to get out, you have to do this, you have to play out on stage. To me, yeah, I could have probably put a band together much sooner, but I am taking my time, I'm taking my time to do things right and kind of build a following, really connect with people and do those kinds of things, and I think, people, friends, and family can also see the differences, in the things that I'm going through as well, because they've given me feedback, and said, I hear your music, and and I can see the change in you, where you're coming from through your faith, And before, that wasn't a thing, that wasn't something people would ask or even mention, So those are the kind of the metamorphic changes that happen in your life when you do find Christ. And I wish that I can have everyone feel like what I feel today, you know, and it's my mission to do that, by the way. So,
love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Oftentimes I say, man, I can't wait till my buddy, you know, can't wait to Jesus finish the work that he started on in my buddy, so we can have these kind of talks. I say that often, like, you know, we're not going to say like life turns to peaches and creams because you transform and you follow God.
Mm-hmm.
No, life gets extremely harder.
It does. It really does. And,
at least mine did.
No, it does. And people often think like, oh, so if it's harder, why are you there? Because you have a calling. That's why you're there. And you're not only thinking about yourself, you're thinking about how can you get other people to Christ? How can you get other people to, you know, walk them away, talk them away from their anxiety, from their depression, of which we know a lot of people go through, right? And I'll give you one example for me. For years, I was super afraid of flying, like really afraid of flying. I can tell you that. I would start sweating from the second I'm in the plane. Wow. To the second like I'm off the plane. And I even tried things like Valium, you know, to calm me down. It made me worse. So the point is, when I got in Christ and I kind of gave my fears away, because, you know, God tells us not to live in fear, right? Exactly. So I can now fly like without even thinking about it, no problem. I didn't go to any therapy. I didn't go to any doctor. I didn't take any pill. It's just happened, you know. So your fears, your anxieties, your depressions, your just your inconsistencies in life, you know, your everyday life, really smoothing out. Just gets so much better. You know, it's almost like, you know, you put contacts because for so long you've been seeing blurry, and as soon as you put contacts on, you're like, oh my God, how come I didn't do this 5 years ago? You know, I can see perfectly now, you know, and it's like that. That's how I feel. Best way I can describe it, you know.
I love it, man. You know, I hope these transformation stories are in the music, or is in the music. I don't want to give spoilers away, but what can listeners expect from your upcoming album, Rise Above It All?
Yeah, well, for one, they can expect a kick-butt album, you know, if I could say that. They could definitely expect a great album. It's still punchy, powerful. It's got, you know, has its ballads, it has its, you know, powerful songs in there as well. They can expect honesty, definitely, in the music. This album isn't polished or, you know, in a superficial way. It's real. It touches on struggle, as we mentioned before, repentance, endurance, and ultimately victory through Christ, right? And really, musically, it still has, you know, the strong rock foundation, like I mentioned. You know, it's still punchy. You know, the live experience is going to be strong. I'm not concerned about that, but every song I think carries a message, and that's where it changes, right? It's meant to lift people up, but also remind them that they're not alone through whatever it is that they're going through. So I'm hoping, really hoping that, you know, if folks get familiar with my music, that if they go through a tough time, they could put a song that they favor, that will help them understand that, hey, you're not alone. And all things can be done through Christ. And certainly, if there's a struggle that you have, before you reach out to anything else like pills or alcohol or even worse, suicide and things like that, because we have a big suicide problem in this country, is to reach out to someone that you can talk to. And first and foremost, reach out to Christ, right? Because He'll listen to you, He'll guide you, and He'll tell you who you need to talk to. You know, and that is the message, you know, of Rise Above It All, and how and where I want to take it, you know?
Yeah, love it. I love that. George, can you give any hints to any musical guest appearance?
Yeah. Well, are we talking about the live that we're doing July 10th? live stream or?
We can do the live stream or on music project, either one.
Yeah, so on the music project right now we're trying to put together some artists, trying to get some musicians aboard. There's a few good guitar players I'm talking to, drummers and bass players, possibly even keys. So we're kind of in that process. We have an audition process right now we're going through and kind of weeding through. But as far as the live stream that we're doing July 10th, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not, but I think we're going to have a one-song live performance with some special guests kind of sitting in, drums, guitar, and bass. So I'll say that much. So if everything comes together well, we would like to do one song and perform that live on YouTube and also Facebook. So that'll be pretty cool. Plus, we'll definitely have question and answer period to kind of talking about where I'm headed, where we're going, what we're thinking, and bring some of the musicians that are kind of sitting in, bring them aboard too, so they can kind of talk and maybe take some questions as well, from some of the audience members there. But as far as bringing any special artists in or anything like that, not at the moment. We don't have anything planned there yet. But I would like to also take a shout out or throw a shout out to Ionian Records, because if it wasn't for them, certainly this album wouldn't be happening right now. So definitely want to throw kudos out to them and shout out. So
yeah, shout out to them. All right, is there a certain song on the album that really captures your personal journey?
Oh man, you really know how to ask the hard questions. You really do. So. Yeah, so there is one song. I love them all, but maybe I could start off by, maybe I'll tell you the testimony for this particular song after I kind of tell you a little bit about it, right? So yeah, there are a couple of songs. There are a couple of songs that really kind of stick out to me. But in particular, You Shattered the Night is a song that is about my testimony, which... that particular song was written because of an event that happened years back in North Carolina, and the song is about that, right? And I'll get into that. It's a pretty unbelievable story, but I have eyewitnesses that were there. I don't think anybody would believe me if I told them this, and I was by myself when this happened. But there, it was me and an ex-girlfriend that I had at the time, and also a neighbor of mine, Eddie and Sonia, and their daughter, I believe, was 8 years old at the time. So we used to go to North Carolina, Nags Head. I don't know if you're familiar with Nags Head, North Carolina, just north of, I think, Hatteras. And ironically enough, that area there is one of the areas where they actually have, one of the few areas in the United States where they have wild horses running around, which was pretty wild to see on the beach. But you had to drive. There's no roads getting in there, right? The houses were miles apart. You had to drive on the beach with trucks, drive on the beach for about 4 miles to get to our house. And the houses are usually spaced about 2 miles apart. It's that far. And so we were there for a couple of days. And one night in particular, we had to drive from the house with the trucks because it's about probably 100 yards from the house to the shoreline. And this one night was a perfectly clear night. You could see all the stars, on the beach. It's super dark, but the stars were just pretty amazing. If you ever go down to Hatteras or Nags Head, and where you see no lights around and you just look up in the sky, you see the Milky Way. It's just pretty intense. So we had both of our vehicles kind of parked in a T shape, so because it was a little bit breezy, so we kind of got in the middle there, and we built a little pit, in the sand, and we started a little fire, kind of hanging out. Probably a couple of minutes into that, I'd say probably about 5 minutes into that, along comes someone into, our little camp, if you will. And if I can just describe, and if you look at the video, You Shattered the Night, the individual that's in that video, because that kind of tells the story, was pretty much that guy. He came up, with a white button-up T-shirt, open, no shirt underneath, long blonde hair, surfer shorts. I think he had like flip-flops on or something. And he started talking to us, right? And all the time, the entire time he was talking, he had his eyes just fixated on me. Like, he didn't stare at anybody else, look at anyone else. And he started saying, I'm a pastor now. I come from a really bad past. And, he welcomed himself. He said, hi, my name is Christopher, and so on and so forth. And he was looking at me the entire time and telling us about, him being a pastor and how rough his life was, and he was into drugs and all this other stuff. And then he pointed me out and he said, George, I know you're a musician, because I told him my name. He asked, for the name. He said, George, I know you're a musician. I don't know how he knew that. I mean, maybe at that time, I don't think I had longer hair, and I certainly didn't have a guitar or anything near us. So that was kind of strange to begin with, but imagine this guy had his eyes fixated on me the entire time. And after, talking to him for a couple of minutes, he asked if he'd come over and pray for me. And I said, absolutely, why not? Of course. And so he came over to me, and this might sound a little weird to some people, but, he held my hand, and at the time that he held my hand, everybody, including myself, we shut our eyes and he started praying. And I almost felt like a weird kind of levitation, if you will, like you felt light, like super light. And I'm not a drinker, so anybody who knows me knows that I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't even smoke, none of that. So I'm sitting there, that's kind of weird, So, he's going on, he's praying for about 2 or 3 minutes. And then after he's done praying, then he kind of backs out campfire, and he's now staring at everybody, talking to everybody. And he's like, well, just want to say thank you for having me here, and and George, thank you for that as well, and let me pray for you. And he he basically said, thank you, and he left. And it was the light from the campfire just kind of illuminated us. It was so dark, if you can imagine, it's really dark out there. And as soon as he walked away from our campfire, Eddie, the other individual that was there, had one of these huge lights. It was probably 10 inches around, and he picked up the light and he flashed it to give him light, so he could see where he's going. The guy was gone, like just gone. We immediately got up. We're looking under our trucks. We're looking in the water. Did this guy go swimming? Did he just take a walk? Our house is like probably 100 yards away. In 5 seconds, nobody's running that fast unless he's, some kind of superhuman. But he just literally disappeared into thin air. We're all like looking under the truck, looking in the water, because we're right by the shoreline. And we could not believe that this person that was there 5 seconds before just completely disappeared into thin air. So this story, I say this to kind of, basically say what I'm saying now is that if I was by myself, I probably wouldn't even ever told this story, because people wouldn't have believed me. They would have been like, you're crazy, George, what's wrong with you? But there were people there, and to this day, I still communicate with some of those people, obviously, and they just say, to that. And by the way, when this all happened, weirdly enough, we all sat around the fire and nobody said anything. We just stared into the fire for like a half hour, without anybody saying anything. So it was really an awkward and weird experience, but I know that after that night, something touched my heart and was always, some seed was planted. And, I went out shortly thereafter and I did buy a Bible, and I did put the Bible, I remember, on my dresser next to my bed. And guess what? It sat there for about 8-9 months without me even touching it, right? And then one night, I came home and, I just kind of sat down. I just laid down on the bed and I'm like, I looked over and I saw the Bible and I picked up the book. I'm like, what, let me just look at it, And from that day on, I never put it down. And it's funny how things work, but it was always tugging at my heart after that experience, Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
it is, man. And it's ironically enough, his name was Christopher. So what's in the front of that name? Christ, right? Yeah. So think about that. His name was Christopher, and that's another weird situation there too. So, but anyway, that's what happened to me. I think everybody has, whether it's supernatural, whatever you want to call it, it happened. And I don't know how somebody just disappears like that, to be honest. But yeah, it's there. It happens.
You've had your Saul to Paul moment, right?
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. That's for sure. Good way to put it. Yeah.
So George, you've been on big stages. How does it feel stepping back into that space with a different mission?
Yeah, so it's definitely completely different, as I mentioned before, right? Before it was, kind of like about performances and energy, as I mentioned, right? And just getting out there and with friends and having a good time, which is still there. I mean, that's still there, of course, but now I think there's more weight and intention to it for me. I'm not just stepping, I guess, into this to entertain, which in a way I kind of am. So I keep contradicting myself, but I kind of am doing it, which I do realize, and that's part of it. But I'm stepping into it with something to say, that brings a different kind of focus and responsibility as far as I'm concerned. I hope that makes sense.
It does. And if someone, we're getting ready to play the next record, but if someone is going through a difficult season right now, what would you want them to take from your music?
Yeah, I would like to tell people in that particular situation that they're not too far gone. No matter where they're at in their lives, there's nothing that can be too strong or too powerful that through Christ you can't solve it, And I could just hope that my music, in a small way, hopefully a big way, but in a small way, it can help somebody through anything that they're going through. Because there are people that love to listen to music, and that kind of becomes their safety blanket. Whatever genre of music you're listening to, right? It could become your safety blanket. So I want my music to kind of become that safety blanket, where if you have a special song that you do like that, Jorge Canan put together, and you're listening to the album, and that one song comes on, it triggers you to say, you know what? I know I'm going through this, but right now I know there's a better way for me to move forward. This song, the lyrics, the melody, just the energy of the song gets me out of the mood I'm in and maybe changes the course of what potentially could have been, So that's kind of the only thing I could really hope for. Maybe I am hoping for a lot here, but I think you have to be optimistic in order to get to the end goal, and that's to help as many people as I can.
All right, guys, are you ready for some music? We have Jorge Canan, Rise Above It All. Stay tuned.
Do it. Let's do it.
Through valleys in the night, then you pull me into the light. Your strength grows when I was weak, restoring hope I couldn't spare. You lift me up, you hold me near. Your perfect love dries out my fear. My heart awakens to your call. With you, I rise above it all. When storms rise up and doubts appear, your voice cuts through and makes truth clear. Your steady hand becomes my guide. With you, I rise above it.
Welcome back. All right. Now, I feel like I should have a grunge voice when I'm describing how this song is incredible. But I can't do that right now because I'll throw my voice out. But it's only fitting because this song has some intensity. Yeah. I was tempted to bring out the air guitar, but afraid my kids are around somewhere snapping pictures and I end up a meme or something. Don't want that to happen. So, but yeah, I brought out the air guitar. Song was cool. Very, very, very cool. All right, let's go ahead and bring George back. Hey, welcome back.
Hey, thank you.
Indeed. Yeah. So I was talking about the intensity of this song. Your voice just carries that intensity. The instrumentation was intense. George, what emotional place does that sound come from?
Oh wow, yeah. So I think people connect with what's real, right? So for me, I'm not trying to sound perfect in my music or in life in general, for that matter. There are struggles and doubts and questions, but I think it's important to be honest about the music that you're putting out there, right? Especially when there's a message such as this, such as I'm trying to bring forward to people. So as far as emotional, I just think emotional and honesty to me kind of go together here,
Yeah. For someone listening right now who feels stuck in regret, failure, addiction, fear, or hopelessness, what is one thing you want them to know about redemption and starting over?
Oh wow, yeah, sure. That's a good one. So redemption. Well, let me start out by saying redemption for me isn't a clean story, right? We none of us have a clean story. It's messy, right? It's God. It's really kind of meeting God, and kind of meeting Him where you're at. It doesn't matter where you're at in life. I'm not proud of my past, and I'm sure a lot of people aren't proud of their past either. But I think redemption is a strong word. I've made many mistakes in my life, and I'm sure you have, and I'm sure a lot of people who are going to be listening to this have. And I was able to walk away from bad things, and I think at times God has taken me one way when I should have gone another way, and things would have probably happened much differently. But somehow it kept pulling me back, right? So this is a place where this music comes from. For me, redemption is very strong. It's a very strong word, and I think there's a lot of that in my music. If you listen to some of the songs, there's definitely a lot of the redemption in it. I hope that's clear enough.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yep. Redemption. Oh, and before we let you go, George, to anyone thinking that they have to be perfect for redemption or for grace or mercy, you don't have to clean yourself up first. That is God's job to do. He's just telling you to relax. You got this. But once He do it, it's your job to stay squeaky clean. Now, it's going to be hard. You will slip and fall. Yeah. But as long as you don't,
it might even happen every day.
Every day.
It might even happen every day. Right. So, for sure.
Like any relationship, you have to spend time. You have whatever you water grows, whatever you don't starves and dies. So if you want a blossoming relationship with God, with Jesus, you have to spend time and pray. That's how you forge a relationship. That's how you know when love is real and not just a one-way bridge of give me, or what can I get? More so, what can I give? How can I serve? Here I am. So let's all just fall into His grace. And George, where can our listeners connect with you on the internet? Check out more music, connect to the live stream, stay up to date when the album drops officially. Where can they go?
Absolutely. So they can, on Facebook, you could just look for Jorge Canan. Same thing with YouTube. Just look for Jorge Canan there. Or you can go to georgecanan.com and you can get to the socials from there as well. And if you are a musician out there that's looking to get involved in something that's true and honest and strong and powerful, certainly we are looking for you. There's no doubt about that. So there's more to come soon for sure. I just want to tell people kind of stay strong, keep the faith, and never lose hope.
I love it. I love it. And guys, just in case you need those links, and I know you will, they will be in the description of this episode and in the show notes. So all you guys have to do is just click the links. All right, tonight wasn't just about music. It was about restoration, about discovering that purpose can still rise after silence. It's not over till the can we even say fat ladies anymore now? I don't know.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I mean, that's an old saying. Why not? Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah, there's a group for this and a group for that. You never know who you are offending these days.
Of course. That is true.
But yeah, so
we're not here to offend anybody.
It's a phrase. It's a phrase. But either or, faith can rebuild with what life tried to break, and that sometimes the greatest comeback stories begin when someone finally surrender. Jorge Canan's journey reminds us that God can take every stage of life, victories, the struggles, the detours, and turn them into testimony. So make sure you follow Jorge, tap into Rise Above It All, and be a part of the upcoming live release experience, because this wasn't just rock music. This was revival with truth behind every lyric. And this isn't just radio. This is revival. Thank you so much, Jorge. Take care, man. We're rooting for you. Absolutely.
God bless you. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate you.
All right, man. Take care.
Okay. Bye, guys. Bye.
Peace to all. My name is Bill, and I am the host of Vigilantes Radio. I think that we are beyond just asking questions. We are here as enablers to provide and separate outside of
I walk through valleys in the night, and you pull me into the light. Your strength grows when I was weak, restoring hope I couldn't fake. You lift me up, you hold me near. Your perfect love dries out my fear. My heart awakens to your call. With you, I rise above it all.
step into your purpose and your passion. You're listening to
When storms rise up and doubts appear, your voice cuts through and makes truth clear. Steady hand becomes my guide. You stand with me in every fight. You lift me up, you hold me near. Your perfect love dries out my fear. My heart awaits to
You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, the people's choice for quality interviews, art, music, and hot topics. Hosted by Demetrius Whodini Blak Reynolds. All episodes of this podcast are available for free download at www.onlyonemediagroup.com.